So I just got done with jobs and I'm in my command center here. It's my little haven to do payroll and all that stuff. I'm the service technician, the receptionist, the accountant, the marketer, the advertiser, the model of the business, and the. I go do all the hard stuff because I know how to do all the hard stuff. And then at the end of the day, I needed this little, I don't know, just a tiny little office space. I created it out of it's a storage unit in my apartment complex. You can see down the hall, and then you can see in here. Pretty wild, right? Um, the before picture is crazy, but you can imagine what it must look like. It's a typical storage unit. And then I've got a fan in here and all that stuff. Because if I'm in here for like an hour, it'll get hot. But it's perfect for me because I don't get a lot of time to, I mean, I'm on jobs at clients all day, so it's it's not like I'm gonna be in here for 2 hours at a stretch or anything. But I like it. It's my little spot. Today I was thinking I had this job, seemingly simple job, 4 TVs, 4 inside the wall concealing. So it was like a $2,000 job. And in Hugo, Minnesota. And I thought, I'll knock this out in no time, not a big deal. And there's this one in the master bedroom, it's just a 55-inch TV on the drywall. I had that up in 5 minutes. It might have been 8 minutes, but it wasn't 15. And it needed in-wall cord concealing. Well, there's often a bathroom on the other side of the wall. And so with in-wall cord concealing, it's a little trickier because pipes might be running where you don't want them to go, and then you can't run the cord there, and so you're searching for a different stud bay. You do all these things beforehand with your stud finder, but you know, you don't completely rely on stud finders. So then you drill a small hole and go in with an endoscope, and then you can peer around and see your path, see where you can't go and see where you can go, of course. And so I had scanned the wall and I was like, oh boy, this doesn't look good. I knew the bathroom wasn't, I could see the bathroom in it, and then it was a pretty big master bedroom. So there's another wing for the bathroom itself. So it wasn't on the other side of the wall like it typically would be. And so before I ever drill, I go to the other side of the wall. So it was a bedroom, and then the walk-in closet in that room was on the other side where I needed to go. And so they shared the same wall. And so I'm like, okay, there's going to be where the closet ends, there's going to be framing for the, a stud, because that's the framing. And there happened to be two vents also on either side. And so I was like, all right, take the vent covers off like I do. And then they both went down instead of up. So that was great. And so that's always a win because when they go up, that blocks off two possible stud bays that you have to work with. And so I thought, all right, this is looking up. And then, I knew there's two studs 4 inches apart because of where the closet was and where the stud was for the wall I was on, or the side of the wall I was on, same wall. Um, and I was like, okay, I've got 4 inches, and then now I got to make sure I can go down. That was the only place I could go down that would work. And so I drilled a small hole, put an endoscope through. It's all clear except for obviously the Romex cable, the electrical wiring that runs through. Not a problem. And so I I drilled my first hole. Everything's fine. I fished my fish cord down in preparation of drilling the second hole. Well, the second hole, I didn't realize with the camera had the flange, the sheet metal flange from the vent right in the way, you know? And so I'm not going to cut that because if I cut it, the part where it was screwed into the stud would have been compromised. Probably not, but people don't pay me for probably nots. They pay me to obviously do a professional job. And some things I'll find, like when I go in the wall, I'll see that somebody had left, like the other day, somebody had left a Starbucks cup inside the wall from when they built the house. And I always find that so disrespectful. It's like the guy's only power to take in life is to say, I'm going to leave this Starbucks cup and laugh about it. I just find that terribly unprofessional, and people don't pay me to be that sort of person. And so I fish that stuff out of the wall. I'll tell the client, I go, no cup stays in the wall in the mounting man's watch. They always get a good chuckle. And I remove the objects. The weirdest I found is diabetes needles. It was an old house, and so the client and I, after we laughed that it used to be a heroin den, reasoned that it was obviously uh, there was a little inlet for a sharps dispenser, and apparently somebody took the dispenser out at one point, and they just kept throwing the needles back there, and so that's all that was. But I had a couple workarounds. Like I drilled a separate hole, and then I had to sort of modify the electrical outlet that I use. It's called a power bridge, and if you have a stand that'll be blocking where it'll be going, it's fine because there's you put an outlet above, an outlet below, and it's all a kit, so there's no electrical license needed. And then it, an extension cord connects from the existing outlet into the new outlet that powers then the outlet above. You can look them up, but it's a handy thing for homeowners to use if there's going to be an entertainment stand blocking that extension cord, then it's a no-brainer to do. But everything just happened to be in the way, and so I'm sitting there hacking away, modifying the the kit, to make it work. It took an hour and a half, and that's normally a 20-minute job. And the whole time, usually I'm happy when things go a little, things aren't exactly as I thought they would be because it's a puzzle and I like solving puzzles. And I don't really get to solve them anymore in this business. I've seen it all hundreds of times and most things thousands of times. Over the course of 5,000 clients now, you've seen it all a lot. But I fixed it. I got it done. It didn't matter if it was 2 hours or 20 minutes. It was I got it done and it looks amazing. And that's really the whole thing is people hire me for the branding, and then they also see, I've got social proof on there, like for the Vikings guys I mount TVs for and stuff like that. So that kind of shows them, well, if these guys hire them, then certainly I will. And also they get sort of they get stories out of it because they'll go, what was it like being at Christian Darasaw's house? And I've been at 5 of his places, and the amount of times I've been there is, I don't know, 3 dozen, maybe 2 dozen. I'm not sure, but it's a lot. And so they like the stories. So, you know, people aren't always hiring you just for if they see 2 people who can do identical work, they're gonna choose the interesting guy, assuming it's the same pricing, right? And I'm not the same pricing, I'm higher, but I think my branding is just way, it's so astronomically different. This isn't like I'm competing with huge electrical companies, electrician companies. It's I'm competing with TV mounters, and they don't have a great brand presence. And so, I guess what I'm saying is, get your branding in order. If you think, oftentimes people send me their websites and go, "Hey, what do you think of this? I think it looks awesome." And I obviously have to say that looks amazing, but they're always rudimentary. And what you don't consider is what seems amazing to you doesn't seem amazing to a person who's used to going into Louis Vuitton and seeing that branding, right? A bag's a bag, a leather bag's a leather bag, but people pay a lot more for that. Just as like because they specialize, right? It's a specialty brand, and I consider the Mounting Man a specialty brand. I brand it that way. Everything's got a cool feel and a upper end feel, and so that's obviously intentional. This is what I do. But branding, man, ask AI to do it. Seriously. Um, I created my entire brand myself. I mean, I used Photoshop, but it was all me, doing it and just taking the photos, obviously. But use AI Nano Banana on Google Gemini 3. You don't need to have my knowledge, you just have to have the ideas.